This video is going to contain massive Arc 9 spoilers. At the time of recording, the anime is on Arc 5 or Season 3 for reference. If you spend some time in active novel spaces for ReZero, you might see this take. Aldebaran needs to die for what he's done. Firstly, he's already beaten it at 250,000 times. Second, is it really that simple? There's been a mix of reactions to Aldebaran's journey throughout the arc, and let's face it, he has harmed a lot of beloved characters throughout his time so far, which also makes it pretty understandable why there's so much hostility about him and his actions. He's basically the protagonist of the arc, but we also know that at large in the scale of ReZero's story, he's one of the biggest antagonists we've had to face. I mean, let's face it, he sealed Subaru and Betty in an orb, beat Garfield and Ezra to a pulp, took control of the divine dragon Volcanica, psychologically scarred kids like Petra and Meili, severely injured Reinhard, unleashed the Witch of Envy, exposed Return by Death, wounded and took advantage of the Felt Camp's bonds before taking Felt hostage, freed Roy Alfred from prison, laid waste to the royal capital, created a situation where Heinkel would end up stabbing Wilhelm, and who the hell knows what else this guy is going to get up to, before attempting to throw Subaru down a geyser to remove him from the world. That's an incredible rap sheet that will probably lead the kingdom to want to execute Aldebaran. But maybe, just maybe, there's a bit more going on with Aldebaran and his actions than just wrapping him up and throwing him down the geyser himself, right? Surely it can't just be that simple. My hypothesis is that Arc 9 is going to end primarily with one event, Subaru reaching out and saving Aldebaran. Let's keep something in mind. As Aldebaran does all this terrible stuff, he regularly remarks how it hurts him to do it, how he knows he's pushing himself past the point of being saved, as he marches on this conquest to become himself. I have my own ideas on what becoming himself means, which you can find in some of my other videos. I think the Valekia saga at large served as preparation for Arc 9 and for Subaru's task to save Aldebaran. To save someone who has now personally impacted him like this, much like many have in the past, to save someone who has now hurt the world, as the Divine Dragon runs rampant, cities begin to fall, and the Witch of Envy is unleashed upon the world. And more importantly for Subaru of all people, to save someone who has hurt those he loves. Subaru is fine with people hurting him. To an extent, he's even fine with people hurting the world, but hurting people close to him is what really pushes Subaru into dark places, and I think that will be one of his tests in Arc 9. I think everything that has happened throughout this story has been building up to the inevitable final confrontation between Subaru and Aldebaran at the end of Arc 9. Realistically, letting Subaru out of the orb will be Al's biggest mistake. Not because, Subaru's gonna loop or kick his ass, but because he will be able to use his strongest power, the power to reach out and save someone. Natsuki Subaru's core character struggles throughout Act 2 of ReZero and stretching into Act 3 has been his heroism. Really, it goes all the way back to Act 1, specifically Arc 3, being labeled Rem's hero. It's specifically reignited by Arc 5, and Subaru taking on the burden of heroic reveries by shouldering the plight of Pristella. Realistically, Subaru has to find out what being a hero means, wading through interpretations until he can arrive at the answer that works best for him. He often has to struggle with the idea of heroism coming at the cost of his own self, through repeated struggle after repeated struggle. It rises up again when Subaru is facing his identity crises in Arc 7-8, juggling identities like Natsume Schwartz and Natsuki Schwartz, pressured by Aldebaran to become the hero that Rem thought him to be, as Subaru becomes the most reckless we've ever seen. While being reckless, while putting his life on the line, while using poison to abuse Return by Death, throughout all of the bad shit Subaru does to be a hero, what he is still a hero. Retrying over and over to save the Gladiator Island, finding out the best possible board for taking back the Imperial capital so that no lives are lost, to reaching out to someone he hates and who hates him like Vincent, and of course, trying to reach out to someone he hates and who hates him like Todd. Subaru will never allow someone to die. He will never allow someone to give up in front of him, and that goes for two of the most important characters in ReZero. Emilia, who he had just met for the very first time, and Satella, who in his eyes has brought him nothing but pain, misery, and a power that exacerbates all of his worst character traits, yet, no matter what, I will definitely save you. Vincent and Todd specifically prepped the stage for Aldebaran's betrayal, in that they were two of the people that Subaru attempted to reach out to, obviously to varying results. With Vincent, he was with someone who couldn't stand his selflessness and his heroic ideals. For Subaru, he couldn't stand Vincent's cold, calculated nature and disregard for lives. Actually, when you think about it, that also applies to the Subaru and Todd dynamic. Todd was distrusting of Subaru's forgiving nature, while Subaru was also distrusting of Todd's entire nature, hence the invisible providence that protected his head. The climax of his relationship with Todd and Vincent being consecutive is also no mistake. They are two encounters that play directly into each other. Todd has hurt him so many times, he's hurt the people he's loved so many times, but even despite that, Subaru tried so desperately to forget that because all of it had been undone by his authority. He had tried so hard to move into a reality where Todd and him could be allies. He never once wanted to give up on him, but unfortunately, Todd slapped his hand away at every turn. rejecting Subaru's kindness and thinking himself someone that can't be saved due to his heritage. They couldn't understand each other, and unfortunately, that's how that battle ended. That's why in his encounter with Vincent, Todd's words at that moment flashed through Subaru's mind so many times. Todd had thought himself unable to be saved, forever cursed by his origin as a werewolf. That is something Subaru considered as Vincent headed out the door of the cabin. Vincent rejected him, slapped away his hand just like Todd did, so he did the only thing he thought he could. He punched him. Vincent didn't want to be saved by Natsuki Subaru, and instead of having it slip through his fingers like last time, Subaru refused to let that happen. He refused to let someone think they cannot be saved, that they cannot accept the hand offered to them. If someone thinks they can't accept your hand, you just have to try to convince them that they can. He forced Vincent to listen to what he had to say, and despite them never being able to understand each other, they reconciled their differences and saved not just their friends, not just Wallachia, but the world at large together. This extends even further to another character in the Wallachian saga, Spica. Spica is someone that, for all intents and purposes, Subaru should despise to her very core. Someone who, just like Aldebaran, has hurt him, has hurt the world, and hurt the people he loves. What matters now, though, is that Spica's different. It's the most controversial decision he has made in-universe, to extend a hand to someone as detested, as evil, as a sinner's bishop of gluttony, but Spica accepted that hand. She accepted that she has to work to make good on her transgressions against humanity, even if they were done by Rui Arneb and not by the Spica we know today. Realistically, what makes Spica and Aldebaran different in that regard? Especially when we know that Aldebaran is probably not his real name. What makes Spica or Aldebaran different from Satella, who also has a different personality, a different identity that devoured half the world, yet Subaru has vowed to save her? Why would Subaru draw the line at Aldebaran? Now, there's kind of an elephant in the room when talking about Subaru saving people, considering the genesis of Arc 9 is that Priscilla has died, specifically requesting him not to intervene in her death, and to that point, it kind of goes against the foundation I've been laying down about Subaru convincing people that they can be saved, and to an extent, yeah, it kind of does. On the other hand, though, Priscilla was someone actively dying who accepted this as her ending wholeheartedly, and Aldebaran is someone who plans to die, accepting that this is the ending his circumstances have led him to. The primary difference being, Priscilla was wholehearted, Aldebaran is half-hearted. This much is clear in his own narration or inner monologue, continually talking about how he feels horrible for the things he's doing, how the words of the people he's harming cut him so deeply, being pushed to become an enemy of the world as he feels he has no other option. Aldebaran's betrayal isn't the bittersweet acceptance of going out on your own terms, it's a childish lashing out at everyone around him, half-heartedly becoming an enemy of the world, not being sure of himself enough to commit to being a global terrorist, as evidenced by Al's refusal to take a single life. It's that refusal to kill that shows us that Aldebaran has not completely given up on himself. It's comments from Ye about how she expects Al to pay back the shopkeepers they steal from, and that shows us that he hasn't conceded. And Subaru's job when he pops out of the orb will be to convince Aldebaran that it's not over, to learn from Todd and reach out even if they slap your hand away, to learn from Vincent and truly understand someone's suffering, to learn from Spica and know how hard of a task it is to be a better person. My prediction is that Arc 9's big climactic moments will be Subaru and Aldebaran, and in a callback to Arc 1, Arc 5, Arc 6, and probably more, the first step to saving Al will be to ask him for his real name, something he has clearly discarded for a very, very long time. To walk in the light not as Aldebaran, but whatever his true identity actually is, shedding the name that has so much baggage for him. Another callback to a theme central to ReZero, the hell bearing the name of oneself, the name of the following star that holds so much pain for him, failing to burn brighter than the very sun in the sky. I also think it would be really cute to have the conclusion of their conflict end with Aldebaran saying, "You really are an amazing guy, Natsuki Subaru." Those are my thoughts on one of the ways Arc 9 will end. I also have some other videos talking about Al, who is pretty central to the story right now, so if you're interested in more of the thoughts that I have, you should check those out. I hope I was able to demonstrate why I think Arc 9 will be Subaru's biggest test so far, and why Aldebaran probably won't be bowing out the sunk. To close it off, I have a little section here from the very end of Arc 8, when Subaru finally defeated the big bad, Sphinx. Quote, "This was not something that anyone who participated in battle against the great disaster could say, but at the very end, in order to activate the effects of Spica's star eating, Subaru had faced off against Sphinx directly. At that moment, Subaru and Sphinx had laid their souls bare to one another. That was probably why Subaru could not hate Sphinx, and regard her as evil from the bottom of his heart. At least, she was not an unforgivable enemy like the Sin Archbishops. That was what he felt." Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe for more. You can also check the description down below to become a member, which gives you benefits like early videos, membership badges, and cool custom emotes. You can join the Discord where we talk about Re:Zero, Kagurabachi, Jujutsu Kaisen, and all kind of stuff. Additionally, you can go to the channel store and pick up some awesome stickers made by our channel artist, so you can carry the power of Graphia with you on your water bottle. That's about it though. Thank you for watching. See ya.